Hello everyone, welcome to Ethics session. Today we will discuss Unit 1st, Ethics and Human Interface. So let's start our session. Before starting our session, I will advise you write the examples that I will be discussing during class. So let's start. This is Unit 1st. These are subtopics given in this unit. Today we will try to complete first topic. Ethics. What is ethics? These are set of standards that a society places on itself. These are somewhat principles that a society follows, and these principles guides human behavior, choices and action. It means a society decides that what is good or bad, and every individual plan their action according to these rules. So this is definition of ethics. These rules, these principles, they vary from culture to culture and also from time period. If we say example of culture to culture variation, then think about free speech, freedom. This right is considered more important in USA. So if this right is violated, then this is considered unethical in USA, but it is readily accepted in China. Even you can correlate with this COVID-19 data of patients of China. Even now, credibility of that data is questioned because everyone knows that free speech is restricted in China. Similarly, other examples are befitting and cousin marriages. Every culture has its own rules, so by which befitting may be considered ethical in one society but unethical in other. Similarly, in cousin marriage, Muslim community has even cross cousin marriages, and in Middle East countries even parallel cousin marriages are also allowed, but this is not the case with Hindu majority population. So every population, every community has its own standards, its own rules. You can write these examples, but always remember you have to write examples, don't hurt other sentiments. Be careful when you are writing example. We have discussed examples that show variation from culture to culture. Now about time period. If you think about LGBT community, now they have given legal rights, but earlier that was not the case. Even society is not ready to accept them in mainstream, but now more discussion is going on, so by which in the future this community will be more accepted in mainstream. So with time period also rules and standards of a society gets modified. I hope you have understood all these points. So let's move ahead. Now these standards, these values, they are derived from various sources including constitutional laws, statutory laws, even religious laws, or maybe some role models or leaders. So every community derives its rules from its past experiences as well as some rule books also. When these rules or standards are violated, there will have a provision of punishment. This punishment is mainly when legal issue is there, or there may be any punishment in form of ostracization. You can see this in case of tribal community or in village areas where Kha panchayats, they generally show some decision regarding ostracization of a particular community. Now we have discussed basic understanding of topic ethics. Now next term is morals. Although morals is not mentioned in the first topic of our unit, but these are very related terms and they are asked in UPSC paper also, so it's good that we are discussing those important things earlier. Now, what are morals? As society has some rules and standards, similarly every individual has some standards. These standards an individual establish or create from his faith and belief system, and they are internally guided, so they are unique to every individual, and every individual develop them from his own experiences. But it is generally says that the religious component is most effective in building morals of an individual. When ethics standards are violated, then there is a violation. There is some provision of punishment and ostracization. Similarly, when morals are violated, then some internal mechanism an individual have in form of punishment, and this is guilt. And always remember, if someone others said, then it has less impact, but if guilt is coming from inside, then this will be higher and this will be for long term. So till now we have discussed ethics and morals. So you can conclude that every action is decided by societal standards, that is ethics, as well as individual rules, these are morals. So these rules decide every action of an individual. Now the difference between ethics and morals. This I think has discussed asked in UPSC also. So what is difference? So from their definition also you can write some points, that is ethics as outer or external standards that are set by society, whereas morals are internal standards or rules that an individual decide. They are, and ethics, they are decided by society, so they generally take a longer time to organize those rules, whereas these are internal, and even from a particular incident or experience an individual can develop a particular moral that one thing is good or bad for him. And ethics generally applied more applicable when some code of conduct for social behavior of individual is concerned, where some organization structure or in society he have to interact with others. But morals have more place when individual rational, his choice is there, what he wants to do in his life. So ethics are those standards which determine what an individual should do. This should is very dangerous term. You can understand my hint, because you should do engineering, you should do UPSC. So these are some social should and should not. It maybe becomes somewhat difficult for an individual to follow every time. Now, jokes apart, let's move. Now, morality that tells how an individual actually behave, because although some outer rules are there, even in that also an individual decide what he want to do or how he want to proceed for that action, even within that boundary also. So we have discussed ethics and morals. Now let's move ahead. Essence of ethics. This is a topic that is mentioned in our syllabus clearly. So Essence shows necessity of something. So what is necessity of ethics? Here examiner can ask a sense of ethics for an individual, for a society, or he can add any XYZ term. So we have to write points for individual, society, and we have to tune our brain so that brain can write points and think logically and write some unheard points also. So let's tune our brain. Now for an individual, ethics helps in internal satisfaction of an individual, because if someone is following societal rules, then he will feel that I have followed some rules, so I have done some good work. So you can consider again this thing that when after taking non-medical, student join engineering as a field, then he has some good feeling that, oh, I have done something that society generally prescribe for me. Similarly, if he is doing some good thing, or he is going according to societal norms, then after some time he has developed that leadership that I am doing according to societal norms, so I will be one who will decide what the societal norms be in future. So they help in leadership position, and some these standards are necessary to followed so that the social order can be maintained, because otherwise one individual will enjoy more privileges and lead to violation of rights of others. So these are helping in maintaining social orders. Thus an individual become automatically responsive, so that he have to respect other individual also. These are some points that an individual will utilize in his life. Other points are, if these ethics and standards are internalized by an individual, then these also help in making some perspective and judgments to an individual. You can take even example of abortion or euthanasia. These are some dilemmas, but if an individual has some ethical standards, he have understand the norms and standards that how that other individual has followed in his life, and that these standards help in that individual. So how that standards can help in deciding he should go for abortion or not, especially if that abortion case is of rape cases. These are some points, but you can use these points by writing your own examples here. For example, inner satisfaction, you can write your example that how you have helped someone at a metro station, that give you internal satisfaction. You have given food to a child. So make these points unique to yourself. Lastly, this sense is very important for civil services, because if an individual follow that standards, then the discretionary power that an individual will get, he will not misuse that power. Consider now, a building project is going on and two competitors who are equally competent, then is civil servant can use his discretion and give project to one individual, but he will take some ethical decision and will not indulge in corruption cases. So this is a sense of ethics, where his internal satisfaction or his societal position or his judgments, his dilemma, even in the civil services, we have discussed these points. So you can use this last point in particularly for bureaucrats or civil servants also. Now, a sense of ethics for a society. If society will follow all set of standards, then the automatically social order will be maintained. For example, if someone society has norm that there will be respect for women, they will promote gender equality, they will maintain hygiene status in society. These standards will help in maintaining that social order and as well as maintaining their physical and social infrastructure also. If people are so peaceful, if they are respecting each other, then automatically unity and brotherhood will be higher in that society. Similarly, crime cases will be less in society and the cases of mob lynching or communalization cases will be less. And everyone, whether he is from lower caste or higher caste or lower class, everyone will be given equal opportunity to develop his excellence. So an inclusive development in our society will happen, and these all points you can write in your vision of making new India 2022. So now you can use these ethics points in your essay or any one of these points in your economics answer. So these are some connecting links where you have to use your GS knowledge in ethics as well as in all GS papers. Now for practice, as I have mentioned in our first video as well, that by practice we will develop skill so that we can write some points, some good points on every topic, even we have not heard that point earlier. So if we consider that topic, a sense of ethics, we have discussed it for individual, for society. Now a sense of ethics for a nation. So think if a nation follows some rules and standards, what will be some benefits? Maybe we can write some points. Good neighborhood relations, so it will help in maintaining good foreign relations. Secondly, we have discussed it from outer side. Now go inside our country, so then there will be less cases of violence or terrorism. These issues will be less, and nation will take some ethical standards in maintaining balance of development versus environment. So if all these points will be followed, then automatically a peaceful, a prosperous and happy society will be live in that particular nation. Now we can consider a sense of ethics for a bureaucrat specifically, or a civil servant. You can consider any one of them. Now consider that individual person. For him, if he follow all standards, then he can handle political pressure. Secondly, he can maintain balance between his private and public life. So this will help in maintaining honesty and integrity. The terms which I am using now, we will discuss all these terms in our ethics classes only later. So you can utilize these examples in those classes as well. Other example can be, now bureaucrat will take more focus on vulnerable people, old age people or poor people, and always remember these people need some special attention by civil servants. So you can see we have discussed ethics, we have discussed morals, their differences. Now the first topic, a sense of ethics, we have discussed some 3 or 4 points. You can write these 2 examples in your own words that I have discussed here, so that some little bit writing practice will happen today also, and later in later classes I will give you some typical UPSC type questions so that your daily practice will going on. Now, determinants of ethics in human action. This is second topic. Now we will cover. Let's see. Determinants means factors. These are those factors which influence course of our action. So when we discuss ethics in human action, this is determined by two factors. It is influenced by mainly two factors. Firstly, individual factors, and secondly, situational factors. Individual factors. Individual factors includes knowledge, values, attitude, and intention of an individual. Now, don't fear that what are these two words. You are already aware about these two words. For these central words, you can wait and you can write those examples in those classes. So let's discuss these points. Knowledge. You can consider how individual knowledge affect his course of action. Consider you are roaming in a road and someone came and asking for your phone because his phone is missed or lost or something has happened. So you have given your phone, but you don't know that individual is a terrorist or he is misusing your phone for some illegal purpose. Here your intention, your knowledge, your intention was good, but your knowledge was limited. So how your knowledge has impacted your ethical course of action? Because although your knowledge was limited, but some wrong action has happened because someone has used your object for wrong purpose. Now consider example of intention also. Intention shows that you have knowledge as well as you have will to do that work. So if a civil servant or any aspirant who is now studying and preparing, if he has intention of doing social service, then this is well and good. But if he has intention to get status and misuse that power, then his intention is wrong and he can misuse his office for illegal or unethical purposes. So here its intention also impact his course of action. Now consider another example to understand intention better. Now stealing is bad, we are hearing this from our childhood, but if robber is kind of Robin Hood, where he is helping poor people by money of robbery, then still his robbery is unethical, but it is less immoral because he internally has some satisfaction that he is doing some good work for poor people. So we are discussing determinants of ethics in human action. We have discussed individual factors. Now we will discuss about situational factors. These includes religion, law, society, time, etc. You can add other factor also. Here if we consider religion, then you can write again brief example, but with precautions of not hurting anyone's sentiments. Now law and society, you can use law example where LGBT community rights now with time has changed. Similarly, even in time case, you can write example of sati, parda or untouchability that were considered ethical in earlier time, but now they are illegal as well as considered as unethical because these standards and norms are now discarded by our society. Similarly, earlier were rare cases of love marriages because they were discarded by society, but now their acceptability has increased. So when you have seen this diagram, you consider yourself that you are now coming out of from your office or any institute, and now your face is showing that you have tired so much. So your behavior with rickshaw wala over the amount that he is asking for traveling, you will have some different kind of tone. Your language will be different from your language in your office or in institute. This also shows how with situation your ethical standards also change, your language has changed. Also you can see in metro, when everyone is standing there, when metro will come, now you see that how the ethical values of people who are standing in line, that will be they forget those rules and now they were starting to push. But if you consider these people in railway station or any other, then these earlier values, ethical values also will be disappeared at first instance only. So now you have understood that situations like religion, law, society, time, or places like more ethical standards followed in metro but less in rickshaw. These factors influence the ethical and the moral standards that an individual follow at a particular time. So we should focus on increasing ethical and the moral standards since our childhood. Even the work culture of an organization like ISRO has a very high ethical standards. Even the women participation in ISRO is very much high as compared to other PSUs or government institutions. Now I have seen that time is going on and we will discuss till now, and consequences of ethics we will discuss it later. Last important thing is that if you have not watched our first introductory class, then you can watch that and plan your ethics preparation very well. So go ahead for watching that video, and that's all for today. I hope we will all meet in our next session. Thank you.